Welcome back. Now, emerging markets in Africa have had to deal with a huge slump in 2022, and this mad investments, it spooked investors because there was a slow growth, especially for the exchanges. We want to talk to expert Ruth Oka, team lead equities capital markets emerging Africa, who's going to share insights as to how the economy, how the securities exchanges fared in 2022. Good afternoon, Ruth. It's good to have you on the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Now, Ruth, most equity markets in Africa experienced capital flights in 2022, and that shook the market for a bit. We later saw a gradual, recovery for most of these rebound in these exchanges. Should we attribute this rebound to increased financial debt in their economies?
Okay, so some of the markets experienced a rebound while some others didn't, and we believe that this could have been attributed to strict foreign capital inflow regulations from some of the stock exchange markets like that in Nigeria. We also believe that it can be attributed to the fact that investors also took advantage of stocks trading at a discount on their markets to better reposition themselves for a better gain, and this would have led to the rebound in some of this market. Lastly, strong fundamentals on stock, such as the return on equity, the return on assets, and cash flows of some of these organizations that are listed on these exchanges would have contributed to the rebound that was experienced in the African capital market.
So which countries' stock exchanges would you say were the outliers in 2022? We did have some performing poorly and some performing well. Which stock exchanges?
Okay, so Zimbabwe, for instance, the Zimbabwean stock exchange experienced over 80% increase in its performance in 2022. We do believe that after the capital flight, this must have been contributed to by the introduction of the dollar-denominated exchange, the Victorian Stock Exchange, which boosted investor confidence as they realized that they wouldn't have to contend with foreign exchange uncertainties. On the other hand, the Nairobi Stock Exchange of Kenya experienced massive loss of about 24% decrease in 2022. This is attributed to the lack of restrictions on capital inflows and outflows, especially by foreign investors on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And also, the Nairobi Stock Exchange has about 55% of foreign investors funding it. So during the capital flight, Nairobi experienced a decline in its market capitalization. And other economists also posed that the general elections in Kenya in August 2022 might have also contributed to the decline in investor confidence.
So what would you say are the top risks? What would you say are the top risks facing equity markets? You talked about capital flights. In 2023, what do you project are going to be the top risks facing equity markets?
Okay, so the major top risk would be the risk of a global recession. According to the IMF, about 1/3 of the African economies would experience recession, as well as even other countries in the world. And for African equities market, there is projected rise in interest rates, which is coupled with the high inflation that a number of African countries are already experiencing. We believe that this is going to make the debt market, the fixed income market, more attractive to investors, which would lead to capital migration from the equities market down to the debt market. Furthermore, the foreign exchange rate uncertainty would pose a major risk to equities markets in Africa. And then fiscal instability of nations, especially in Africa, has decreased local and foreign investor confidence. A lot of African countries are on the verge of debt crisis, which would lead to economic and social instability, thereby making the equities market not so attractive to local and foreign investors.
Yeah, so we're looking at that, and we're looking for ways also to boost the exchanges. I've seen some developments coming up in the space of, African exchanges collaborating. Now, I want to know, it started last year as the African Exchange Linkage Project. I want to know how far, what progress they've made, and how has that boosted trade for the connected countries on that platform?
Okay, so for the African Exchange Linkage Project, the testing commenced in July 2022, whereby stockbrokers and securities dealers were able to successfully perform mock trades then, and then it was officially launched in November 2022. Considering that it's a recent development, we believe that these connected countries would be able to benefit from each other, and this linkage project would create a larger market for the equities capital market, whereby organizations are able to raise funding through equity capital raise and through IPOs as well. And we believe that this would also increase capacity between the exchanges, increase their market capitalization, and boost collaboration between capital market players, central banks, and other capital market regulators within Africa.
Thanks so much, Ruth Oka, Team Lead, Equities Capital Market, Emerging Africa, for sharing your perspective and insight into the Africa stock exchange markets. And we look forward to positive performances for the exchanges in Africa. Thank you so much, Ruth.